If your Google Ads account is showing the limited by budget warning, it means that Google is actually stopping your ads from running and that you're missing out on leads and inquiries. In this video, I'm going to run through exactly what the limited by budget warning means, what impact it's having on your account, and what you can do about the limited by budget warning. My name's Adrian Harrison from Grow Savvy Marketing, and I help small businesses generate leads and inquiries using Google Ads that turn into paying customers. Before we actually get into what your limited budget means, let's have a look at what actually happens with your Google Ads account when you do run out of budget and that budget is limited. What will happen is in the morning, your ads are going to run. After the morning though, at some point during the day, your ads are actually going to stop running. And when that happens, your ads are not showing. You could be missing out on leads. You're missing out on potential clicks. Here's the thing though, what we're also missing out on is potentially better times of day to run your ads, which would mean a lower cost per click and a higher conversion. So if we're not running our ads in the evening or the afternoon because they're stopped, we're missing out on that learning process that Google does to figure out the best time of day to be running your ads. But saying that, it doesn't mean that having the limited by budget on your account means that there's something drastically wrong with your account and you must rush out and fix it. If your budget is $50 a day and you don't want to spend more than that, then you don't have to do anything about this warning. There are some steps you can do though to further optimize the budget that you do have and potentially get more leads. Later in the video, we'll go through what you should actually do about the limited budget warning. But first, let's just have a quick look at what the limited budget actually means for your account. According to Google, limited budget is a bid strategy status that's used when your daily average budget is lower than the recommended amount. So what Google is saying essentially is that you could be getting more clicks, more leads for your budget. Google always wants you to spend more money, but there are other strategies that you can use. You can stick to your existing budget and still optimize your account and still keep growing it and getting more leads. What can you do about your account if you are getting the limited by budget? Well, the first and most obvious thing is that you do actually increase your budget, and this could lead to more clicks and conversions. The negative about increasing your budget though is it can actually mean that the conversions do get more expensive. There is actually a point of diminishing returns for this. So we've got to be careful about increasing our budget for number one, that reason, and number two, it's because we need to give Google's algorithm time to learn. So we don't want to double our budget overnight. We want to slowly ramp it up by, let's say, maybe 10% per week. If we just go 5 or 10%, then that's going to give Google's algorithm enough time to learn the new budget and how they could optimize that and use that. What if you can't increase your budget though? If you need to spend a fixed amount, there are some options available for you, and that generally revolves around just optimizing your account. First thing you can do is to optimize your keywords. And so what we're going to do is we're going to look at pausing the losing keywords, the ones that aren't performing that great, and keeping the winners. The other thing we can do is have less keywords and change the match type. Here's how I go about analyzing my keywords. First thing you want to do is come over into your keywords in your account. Then you want to sort by cost. So this is going to have the keywords that you're spending the most money on to the least money. So we want to be looking at where we're spending our money to start with. And that's going to give you the biggest bang for your buck when you do make your changes. Then we want to have a look at the cost per conversion, or how much we're actually spending to get an inquiry. So we've got a range here of $222 down to $69. And we want to look at how many conversions we're getting. So for this particular keyword here, I've got to blank it out due to privacy. But for this keyword here, we're getting 8 conversions at $222 each. And this one here, 9 conversions at $138. So if I had a limited budget, I would be considering pausing this keyword because it's running at a lot more, 80% more cost for conversions than the one below it. And so what Google will actually do is we'll take that budget, if you pause this keyword, and start pouring it into other keywords, so you could potentially get a lot more conversions at a lower cost per conversion. So that's the first thing I do with my keywords. The next thing you might consider doing is, if you're using a lot of broad match keywords, you want to come over here and change it from broad match to possibly phrase match. And that's going to restrict the amount of searches that you actually get. And by restricting the number of searches that you're going to get, it's just going to mean there's less volume going through your account and you're not using up all that budget, and it's going to be more distributed throughout the day. But be careful changing your match type if you've got some really valuable keywords that are working really well. You might want to consider doing that on keywords that aren't working as well, or lower volume keywords. The next thing I'd be looking at doing is slightly decreasing your target cost per acquisition, or your ROAS. And to do that, we just come over to our campaign settings and we want to reduce this just slightly. So maybe 5% or 10%. And by doing that, you're asking Google to bring you more conversions for less money, which will further optimize the budget that you are working with. And the final thing you could be doing is tightening up your targeting to make sure Google is optimizing your budget and you're getting the lowest cost per conversions. And we'll have a look at geo-targeting, days of the week, and devices. We'll just jump into my Google Ads account to do that. For your geographic targeting, you can jump into the Google Ads settings of your campaign and you can come down to your locations here and we'll click Advanced. What you can do here is review the areas you are targeting and cut out the areas that either don't lead to inquiries or areas that you don't want to service, so you limit that geographic area that you're targeting. Next thing we can do is we can have a look at our ad schedule. So we come over to our campaign, come over to ad schedule, and we'll do the same thing here that we did with our keywords, and that is analyze their cost per conversion and where we're spending more for conversions, what day of the week we're spending them for. You might find that a particular day, in this case, I can see that Mondays are $89 versus Fridays and Thursdays we're getting conversions for $57. So you might find that you might limit Mondays and maybe you might only run ads for a few hours or stop running Mondays altogether. And that will again push the budget that you do have into the other days where you're getting the lower cost per conversion. So that will mean that you're going to get more conversions for the budget that you do have. The next thing we'll do is we're going to look at how Google is spending your budget for different devices. For example, tablets, mobile phones, and desktop computers. There can be a big difference in the cost per conversion for these, and sometimes we might spend less money on one device because we're getting better results on another. To get to it, come to campaigns, you can click on your campaign, and then we can go to Insights and Reports, when and where ads are shown. This will bring up a report like this, which shows mobile phones, computers, tablets. It'll show you the cost per conversion for each. And we're going to do exactly the same thing again. We're going to look at the cost per conversions for the different devices. In this case, for mobile phones, we've got $107 versus computers, which are $472. So very clearly, we can see that we're wasting a lot of money on computers. So the way we deal with that is we can decrease the bids on computers. Come over here and we can choose decrease. In this case, we've decreased it by 100%. So that means that our ads are not really showing for computers. And that's going to mean that our budget that we've got is going to be pushed towards the mobile phones, which is the much better conversion rate. So we're going to make much better use of our budget. If you've done all those things on your account, you are going to get better results and you're going to make better use of that budget. And you may even not have the limited by budget warning come up on your account. If you want help with your Google Ads account, you can either download my 150-page Google Ads guide for service business owners, which runs through all the right settings to set up your account for maximum performance, or you can schedule a call with me and I can help you fix broken campaigns, get them converting and profitable, and also set up new campaigns to generate you paying customers. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Cheers.